This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the town of North Haven.
Good evening. I'd like to call the January 21st, 2025 North Haven Fire Commission meeting to order. I'd like everyone to please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Happy, healthy New Year to all. Fellow commissioners,
Yes.
Happy, healthy New Year to y'all. Thank you for all that you do for us throughout the year. Really appreciate it. I'd like to ask for the approval of minutes of the Board of Fire Commission meeting, special meeting held on December 11, 2024. Do I hear a second to that?
Second.
Is there any question on that motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Also, the January 3rd, 2025 special meeting that took place. Hear a motion to accept?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. The chief's report.
Good evening. It's been some time since we met last, at least it feels that way. It was December 11th since we last met. So the period of time that I'm going to start to cover in my chief's report is going to be December 11th until yesterday, which should be January 20th. So calls to date so far in 2025, we're at 245. Since our last meeting, we provided ALS intercept or transport on 27 different occasions. We had 32 incident responses to the highway, 124 incidents in which just an ambulance was able to respond without the need for fire department apparatus. And then here we go again, that 106 occurrences accounting for 234 incidents, during which time there were multiple incidents occurring. So the 544 incidents that we responded to in the period of time of December 11th until January 20th, again, 234 of those, there were multiple incidents occurring. So we're staying consistent in that low to mid 40% range. This particular time period was 43%. That I have for incidents regarding the budget through period 7, which we're not quite through yet. Period 7 brings us to the end of January. But at this point in time, we're at 57.7% spent in the budget. I have revenue through period 4, and I have revenue from finance fire fees at $98,500 and ALS billing at just over $20,000. A couple other items that are impacting the budget that are worth mentioning. We had one member that was out on sick leave from July 25th, 2024, and subsequently retired on January 1st. That'll be one of the new hires that we just took action on most recently at a special meeting, and so that one of those hires will go towards replacing this position. But it's important to know that position will not be operational until June of 2025, and so when you look at a period of time from July 25th, 2024 to June 25, it's almost an entire year of overtime. So just something to keep in mind. That's certainly impacting this entire fiscal year's budget. Another member has been out on sick leave since September 8th, with the exception of only a couple of shifts. That member remains out through current day.
What was the date that it?
September 8th. I've had another member who is out on injury leave since November 6th. I spoke with him actually today. No particular timeline on his return as of yet. Another member out since December 13th. Anticipated return of March 25, and a retirement occurred on January 1st. And so, again, that's another vacancy we'll be covering until approximately June of 2025, and that would be the second of the two positions that the commission took recent action on for replacement. And so we're covering a lot of vacancies, just something to really keep in mind. We build in anticipation of some of those, but when we start looking at an entire fiscal year of somebody out, that's not something that's built into the budget.
So right now, there are 6 people out?
No, there were two retirees.
Two retirements, so those
Yep.
are two positions.
Right now, there are
that
5. Yep,
Right.
there are 5. We can get into further detail on executive session.
Yeah.
This is just really give you the impact of the budget.
I was just trying to figure out the number
Yep,
of
total of 5.
vacancies, a total of 5.
Yep.
So was December 13th injury or sick?
That is injury.
Thank you.
Besides that, that covers the budget. Any questions on calls or the budget that I can cover? I'm gonna-
Just a quick question on the budget, because it's a little difficult to read.
Yeah, so I gave you a different report accidentally this past time. It's more than enough for you
More
to
than
read.
enough.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
The big question I just had was, let's go to page 8.
8?
Is it 8?
At the bottom.
So you've got a couple of, you've got overtime, non-uniformed, overtime outside duty, those are 100%, but then when you go to the bottom of total overtime, you're only at 30.3%, so I'm just trying to figure out.
That's just how finance breaks it down sometimes. It's just there some we can charge for, some we can't charge for. You have to look at the total line, which is why I don't normally give you this printed view because it does get very confusing to look at.
So it's the total,
But
the total overtime is what we should be looking at.
correct, yeah, that
Okay.
30.3%.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, well, that will help with a lot of the lines, because that's where I was.
Yeah, it does get very confusing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I won't normally provide this just because then you'll see there's a lot of cases where there's money deducted and then money added back and then it's deducted again. Welcome to my world of looking through these reports all the time. Yeah. I want to move forward to the fire marshal's office. If you have any further questions on incidents or budget, just let me know as we finish up here on my side. You were provided in your packet that was mailed to you, activity for the month of December. Nothing really worth jumping out there. 7 plan reviews, which is typical for this time of year. We're gonna start seeing an increase in plan reviews now. 45 permits, 34 record requests, and 55 different public inquiries, and a total of 47 inspections. What I do wanna just draw some attention to is a document that I forwarded to you by email today, and that was the annual report for the fire marshal's office. You know, we don't talk about this a lot, and perhaps it's something that we just want to spend some quick time on. But I don't think that many people realize the capacity and how busy the fire marshal's office it is. And really, it consists of myself, 1 full-time fire inspector investigator, and 1 part-time fire inspector investigator. And to handle this level of work, they really do a great job. You can see in here a number of annual inspections. I'm probably 4 or 5 pages in where it says annual inspections 2024. And this is just kind of what we target. It gives you an idea of as far as what we concentrate on. Obviously, there's different inspections that require mandatory inspections for licensing and for certifications. And so you can just kind of see where our emphasis is. In January, it's fast food restaurants, and there's a lot of them. April, we try to target churches. July, apartments. We have to break it out like this by occupancy type just to kind of keep us on a established schedule. It also helps with code flow. You know, when you're in an apartment complex, there's one section of code you're in. When you go to a daycare, it's a different section of code. And you know, as much as you get used to remembering all this, it does become a little jumbled sometimes. And so, trying to stick to the same occupancy types for a bulk period of time certainly helps in just trying to do some recalling of some codes. You can see we get involved in a number of tank removals that occur throughout town. You know, it's an older town, so there's a lot of buried petroleum and oil tanks that we have to get involved with, sample the soil, send it off to the state for lab analysis. And with that comes a lot of record research. Every time a title changes hands, there's some paperwork that has to be filed and is requested to determine if there were ever any tanks that were removed that the soil was contaminated for, or if there's tanks that were abandoned in place. And there's means to do that. Educational occupancies has been a focus of mine now for a number of years. And this is just the fact that we are present for nearly every fire drill and nearly every lockdown drill in all of our private and our public schools here in town. So if you just think about how often it is, it's a couple of drills every week rather, that we're spread out, and we work around the weather the best we can. Some are planned, some are not planned. We've been really stepping up our fire drills lately. We've had great success with the Board of Education, particularly with Patrick Stirk and his team of principals. They do a phenomenal job of working with us, and we've actually been really stepping up our drills lately, where we'll block an exit. We'll do something else kind of out of the ordinary to kind of test the staff, test the children during a drill, time them, see if they can think on their feet and go a different direction, so it doesn't always become routine. So we've been really working with the Board of Ed on that. You can see we do a lot of different residential occupancies. Pictured here is one of the newer apartment complexes in town that we had to work pretty hard at last year to get open with a certificate of occupancy. One of the things that we continue to work with in this office is the town ordinance regarding numbering of buildings. And so we're trying to be proactive with that, with some different areas that we respond to in town. So our fire personnel will come back and say, hey, we really couldn't find this stretch of houses or these apartments or whatever. And we'll work pretty diligently with those property owners and trying to remind them of the ordinance and trying to make sure that they're educated on the need for well visible house numbering and apartment numbering. We do get asked a lot for fire extinguisher training. We have a lot of large businesses in town where we get involved in a lot of training, and we use props for that. Sometimes we'll use donated extinguishers, but you'll see in the next page one of the things that we borrow right now from a university outside of town is a simulator. And at some point in time, we're looking to be able to secure some funding or some donation to be able to purchase that, because that really does allow us to go through a high volume of people. When you're talking about a crowd of 80 to 100 people that we're training on fire extinguishers, having the ability to do this not only keeps it exciting for those participants, but it does offer some degree of realism as well. This past year, we started working pretty diligently on private property fire hydrants. There is an NFPA code that does require that the private property fire hydrants are maintained. And so we've been working with a number of property owners throughout town, some of which you are familiar with, where we want to make sure that those are being tested and evaluated so that if we do have to use those in the event of a fire, there is some record showing that they've been tested and they're serviceable. Solar panels continue to be a concern for the fire marshal's office. There's some legislation that constantly is trying to be proposed that takes away some of the firefighting ability that we have on different buildings that have solar panels. We can't necessarily vent through the roof, and we can't get onto the roof in some cases. And so our fire marshal's office is involved in every single permit regarding solar panels, whether it's residential or commercial. One thing I've been in touch with Mr. Frieda about is a need that we need to take our fire marshals, the two of them, and find another location for them. There are, again, a part-timer and a full-timer. They literally work back to back in the same office. We have no ability to be able to spread out blueprints, which are very, very large. And unfortunately, a lot of their conversations are overheard. And some of those conversations don't belong being overheard by the public or by anybody else in the department. So that is an ongoing need that we need to focus on. This office generates over $500,000 of revenue every single year.
Has any property been identified or
Continue to work with Mr. Frieda for about the last year on finding a location.
Okay.
One thing that we also are very proactive with is that we offer monthly meetings. Unfortunately, they're not very well attended, but we do offer monthly meetings where any property owner or any prospective business that's coming to town that needs to get questions answered on the building permit process, we have a meeting once a month where if you reserve it ahead of time and we know that you're coming, we will have a representative from the building department, health department, engineering, and fire all present to answer any questions that property owner or business owner may have, so that you can get your questions all answered at one time. And we think that's tremendous value. Unfortunately, it's not very well attended for some internal reasons, but it's something that we continue to offer and hope that someday it picks up.
One of the major complaints from developers and contractors is the difficulty in dealing with the town because they have to go to all of the different departments and how time consuming and expensive it is.
Correct.
I think this is a marvelous opportunity to streamline and provide quality customer service
We started this 3 years ago.
for those developers.
Yep.
Would that be applied to condos also?
Sure. Yeah. Anybody who's looking to get a business going in town, or take a landowner that's looking to do a different tenant fit out space, that's the time to do it. You get all your answers in one shot that way.
Even part of that educational process of the fire marshal's office. In the past, the chief and myself and went over to your condo complex and at the clubhouse.
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 That was before I
And-
moved in.
And there were a number of people that attended that, fire extinguisher and fire prevention type of session that the chief put on. Very well accepted.
Well, I'm about to ask him at some other point about coming back
Hmm.
to talk about budget issues and safety.
Sure. Yeah, we'd be happy to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask just two questions about the solar panels? Is there a specific thing that if homeowners are interested in getting solar panels that they need to be aware of in terms of, because I had never thought about the fact that if you got solar panels,
Yeah. So
it would impact it.
it's a building permit process, and because there's an impact on the fire service, the fire department is involved, and we're not typically involved in residential permits, but when it comes to solar panels, we are, for purposes like the egress, the pathway around the solar panels, and the disconnect, and the labeling of the fact that there's solar panels present on the home. And then we also build in an extra alert sometimes, depending on the system, into our CAD system, so that we're notified on the way that there are solar panels present in the house. That's not 100% accurate all the time, because some of these are happening without us knowing about it, but it's just one more tool that we have available to us.
Okay. And then the other question I had was about the tank removal. What type of tanks? Do you
Oil and
guys-
gasoline typically.
Oil and gas, okay.
And are there seasons for removal?
As long as the ground's thawed out, they can typically do it.
Yeah.
These contractors are pretty hardy. They'll get the tanks out.
How do you know if the company that you got the solar panels from contacted the fire department?
That's why we're involved in the permit process. Anybody putting a solar panel on their home should really be doing it, needs to be doing it through the building permit with their office involved, which in turn gets our office involved.
I'm actually in the process of doing that myself, and I've got the 2 permits are posted on my front windows. And the panels are on the back part of my house, so the front part of my house, in the event, I'm assuming, if the fire department needed to cut a hole in the attic, they were able to utilize the front, because the panels are in the back. But there are 2 different electrical boxes, one in the front of the house, one in the back of the house. And I'm not quite sure what they're for. Matter of fact, tomorrow they're coming in to change the actual electric box that I have that's inside my house, and they're moving it into my garage. So that's all part of the whole process. And I know the fire marshal and the building inspector are going to come out to inspect to make sure that all of that was done appropriately. It was a call that I made to the fire marshal's office to say, how am I sure that they're doing this correctly?
Right.
And so they come out to take a look at that. I was very comforted to know that in fact was going to happen.
Yeah.
So and again, it's part of the services that the permit fee underwrites the cost of.
Yeah.
So
Did the company get the permits?
yes,
Typically, yeah, in a solar panel,
I've
yeah.
had solar panels for years now. I don't remember anybody.
yeah,
Yeah, that's and those could be some of the holes sometimes that are out there, depending on when it was installed.
yeah.
And it's so on top of all of what I talked about, on top of the inspections that need to occur on a regular basis, and the building construction that's taking place that we have to make visits to quite often during the building construction process, there's actually a number of fire incidents that these individuals are called out to investigate cause and origin on fires. You can see the month breakdown in the chart in the blue, and then you can see the yearly categories on the next page. And so 2024, a little slower in terms of fires that were investigated in 2023, but just keep in mind, those are always unplanned, right? And never have any control over a lot of variables with those. And so on top of everything else they're doing and the scheduling they have to keep, you drop what you're doing when it comes time for fires. And those can often take hours to days at times.
You know,
Just wanted to give a quick update on the fire marshal's office.
You know, Chief, it wasn't too long ago where we were not doing any of these.
No,
And I want to say maybe it was 6, 7 years ago, maybe it was before that, maybe just as you came in as chief, we were far behind in inspections of a variety of different buildings in this town, to the point where it was becoming very dangerous for us. So I really appreciate the effort, and this, I reviewed this this afternoon after it came through, and I was really impressed with the content of this and the completeness of it, and also the fact that the fire marshal's office is keeping our town much safer than it had been in the past. I know that some of the box stores that we go to, you wind up finding inventory blocking exits, fire exits, and whatever it might be. That could be a hazard to the public that would be in those stores. And the fact that, we have all the schools and the private schools that are being tested and retested is comforting, I think, and it should be comforting to the parents and residents of our town. So thank you for this report. It really was comprehensive. I appreciate it. Any questions regarding this report?
that concludes my chief's report.
Any questions of the chief regarding the reports? Hearing none, we'll move on to correspondence. Chief, have you received any correspondence?
Other than the day-to-day correspondence, I have not received any.
Have any of our commissioners received any? Old business of the fire department.
I only had one item for the old business of the department, and that was just to thank Commissioner Caldwell and Commissioner Ozzolillo for attending the budget workshop with me on January 11th. I appreciate you both being there, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to discuss a little bit further detail later on tonight or another time. So thank you again for being there. That's all I had for old business.
And Pat was there too.
You're right,
Yeah,
I'm
but-
sorry, but I was thinking who was
Hey,
presenting
hey.
with me. You're right. You're right.
New business of the fire department.
I have no new business.
The good of the fire department. Looks like we have a motion that needs to be made.
I make a motion to accept Max Ricky as a promotionary member of the West Ridge Company 3 pending national background check effective immediately.
Do I hear a second to the motion? Is there any question on the motion?
Is that on the agenda?
Yes, line item 6.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
thank you.
I did the second.
Okay, I didn't hear it. Okay. All in favor? Opposed? So moved. Next motion? Is there another motion? No, that's it.
I got a few things
Yeah,
for
Chief.
good of the department. We do have 2 conditional offers to 2 firefighter paramedics that we anticipate starting the Connecticut Fire Academy and Recruit School on February 10th. We're going to start them a couple days early for some orientation. So between now and the next time we meet, just know that our expectation is that both recruits will be starting at the Fire Academy. They'll be graduating sometime in late May, and I will let the commission know when that is, so you can attend if your schedule allows.
I was pretty excited to learn that they both passed their CPAT on the 10th. It was like at 12:01, we got the word that they both passed, so it was pretty exciting for both of them. Pretty nice for them to begin their fire career.
Yes.
A couple other things, just as you probably have seen within the news, we did entertain a meeting with executives from Yale New Haven Hospital and Nelson Ambulance last week. Myself and the first selectman attended that meeting, and we were notified of the pending sale and had some conversation, high level, about service to North Haven. I can assure you that we don't anticipate any changes at all to the service provided by Nelson Ambulance. We don't expect that sale to go through for about the next 6 months, but our contract does carry through with that notification that we received into it's transferable. So our next contract that we would have to negotiate would take place sometime in 2026, and I would fully anticipate that we would start having those renewal conversations with Yale New Haven Hospital when that time comes.
Could you back up a sec, because I don't think I saw this in the paper. So Nelson's getting purchased by Yale?
Correct.
So Chief, is the Nelson administration and employees, are they still managing the ambulance service?
Aspects of the service will still be maintained by some of the people that we're familiar with, yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, it was there was a notification, I think, a week or two ago in the local papers of the purchase by Yale. It was Nelson and another company, I thought.
Access.
Access.
Same company, yeah. The only item I had for you under good of the department is we did discuss during October of 2024 that the two volunteer companies, West Ridge and Northeast, would be coming out of service Monday through Friday from 7 to 3. We're several months into that now, and after some further conversation and watching some trends happen over the last couple of months, West Ridge has now informed us that they will not be able to go back in service until 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. And so just a couple hours longer, but again, these companies are not going in service unless there are at least 2 members available to respond. And so that has been a struggle for the last several months. And at 3 o'clock, been trying to make sure that there were a couple of members available. And after some deliberation with the company captain, we decided to extend that time to 5 p.m.
In Northeast, though, they've been
At this
able to-
point, still 3 p.m., but time will tell. Yep. And that's what I have for good of the department.
No one here for public
We
comments.
do executive session.
I'm sorry?
No public comments.
I'll entertain a motion to move into executive session. There a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Call to order the North Haven Fire Commission meeting for January 21st. Commissioner, some
I have
motions?
a few motions. I'd like to reinstate Maurice Barney and Carl Lyons to the office of captain of the volunteer stations.
Do I hear a second to the motion?
Second.
Is there any question on the motion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved.
And I also like to make a motion to appoint Ray Sirocco, deputy fire marshal, effective immediately.
Do I hear a second to the motion?
Second.
Is there any question on the motion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
I'd like to make another motion to carry over 2 vacation days for Jeff Kramer into 2025 due to injury leave.
Do I hear a second to the motion?
Second.
Is there any question on the motion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. Is there any further business coming before this commission? Here are none. I'd like to announce that the next Board of Fire Commission meeting will be held on Tuesday, February 18, 2025, here at Monterey Station at 6 p.m., 282 Quinnipiac Avenue. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
There a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. This meeting's adjourned.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.